Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Got a loaded show of topics. Now, free agency is underway. The Minnesota Vikings have parted ways with some players. But there's a topic right now. Ja'Marr Chase just became the highest paid non-quarterback ever in the NFL. And Justin Jefferson had just honored and donned that. But who's better, Ja'Marr Chase or Justin Jefferson? Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. So we'll talk about those numbers coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Thanks for everybody that's watching on YouTube, those that continue, the everydayers. I really appreciate you guys, especially my father-in-law. I did not realize that my father-in-law, he gets up and watches the show whenever we air it. So appreciate my father-in-law for sticking around and watching us. But thank you to the everydayers that continue to watch, those that continue to support us. Please make sure you subscribe on YouTube and tell a friend that we're here. But I want everybody to know, we're going to talk about Justin Jefferson and Ja'Marr Chase. This is going to be a hot topic, I'm pretty sure, all summer. This was a hot topic when Justin Jefferson signed his big contract, when Ja'Marr Chase did not sign his. And smart. He held out, and it paid off. He didn't get hurt because people were like, what if he gets hurt? What if he tears his ACL? Remember, Justin Jefferson got hurt. What if he had gotten hurt right before his contract? Do they pay him? The thing about these two, no matter what happens, if you don't pay him, somebody will. And that's what Justin Jefferson and Ja'Marr Chase bring to the table. And so we have to talk about that. Also, the Vikings and Aaron Rodgers. That could happen. I'm sorry, people. I know a lot of Vikings fans. I see Twitter. I see all your comments. People hate it. They do not want Aaron Rodgers coming to Minnesota. There are a handful that do. They think Aaron Rodgers going to the Super Bowl. But then also the Vikings made some trades and they made some cuts. We'll talk about all that coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show. And, of course, the Daily 3, that's 3 minutes. 3 questions, about 3 minutes each. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets. That's $200 in bonus bet when you bet your first $5 bet, and it wins. Just $5. That's all it's going to take. $5. Just go on there. And, of course, terms do apply. So it depends on the state you're in. But bet that first $5, win. And at one point, the Timberwolves would have been the easy bet, people. I think they were 8 in a row. So that could have been one. Just keep an eye on the Timberwolves. They're getting a lot better. Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards starting to play together. They understand each other now. So make sure you figure that out. But the first $5 bet, you win. You get $200 in bonus bet. Now you're playing with house money. So make sure you go to FanDuel.com or just jump on the app. Go to your phone, download FanDuel on your phone to get started. Well, as I bring my producer into the show, my co-host, Sam Ekstrom. Sam, Justin Jefferson's contract a couple years ago was considered one of the biggest. $140 million, 4 years, 110 guaranteed. And the joke, I remember that you remember this joke, Sam. The joke was that Ja'Marr Chase was going to sign for $140 million and 1 cent just to have a bigger contract. And Ja'Marr Chase, I think his comment kind of was like, I ain't going for no 1 cent more than that. You know, kind of like, y'all think I'm like 1 cent better than Justin Jefferson. And again, it's a healthy rivalry. It's a friendship from college. But at the same time, these are adults that have moved on. Like, that happened to me too. When you leave college, you have your college friends. You have your guys you stay in touch with. But then you have your pro teammates. You have the guys you train with that are maybe not on your team that you become closer to. And when somebody asks, like, Justin, you know, do you and Ja'Marr Chase still talk? He's like, yeah, but, you know, it's not like it used to be. It's a little different because we're grown. We're moved on. We're not college teammates anymore. And so I know there's a healthy rivalry there. There's a fun rivalry there that, like, they see each other at the Super Pro Bowls and all that stuff. They're gonna hang out a little bit, chat it up. But at the end of the day, it's still a business. There's still some pettiness to this. And so Ja'Marr Chase goes out, and people are like, man, you better sign now before you get hurt. It's like, no, I'm not living off the fear of it. And Justin Jefferson, by the way, I think I said 110 guaranteed. So Jamar Chase goes out, and not only does he not do just the penny, because he could have did 141 million and said 141 million. Let's just take it up a million more, and now I'm the highest paid. No, $161 million over 4 years. Now, here's the thing about that, though. Justin Jefferson, $110 million guaranteed. Jamar Chase, $112 million guaranteed. So the number looks awesome, 161. But let's be for real, people. 112 is the number he probably gets over the next 4 years. There will be restructures. There will be conversations. There will be, hey, we need to sign more people. The Bengals, if I'm not mistaken, over the next 4 years are going to spend like $669 million or something ridiculous like that in contracts. You got Joe Burrow at $275 million. You got Jamar Chase at $161 million. You got T. Higgins. Have we seen his number yet?
Yeah, 115 is the number that sticks in my head. I can double check on that, but it was definitely over 100 million, 9 digits.
And then they signed one more person to that. It was I forgot the other person in that. And so when you look at like what the Bengals have spent, I mean, it's crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. Like that's a lot of freaking money to put. And I saw the funniest tweet ever. It said, "We are so back." When you talk about the Bengals, and one of their fans must have did this. And then it had like tears emojis saying, but we don't have a defense. So they spent a ton of money on the offensive weaponry. They got T. Higgins. They got Jamar Chase. They got Joe Burrow, but they don't have a defense. So the argument is Jamar Chase versus Justin Jefferson. Well, first off, let's go bigger, Sam. Let's go Vikings versus Bengals. The Vikings have their young first-round quarterback. The Bengals have theirs. The Bengals know what they have in Joe Burrow, $275 million. The Vikings don't know what they have in J.J. McCarthy, but they don't have to pay him $275 million. So I got to give that edge to the Vikings. I do, like the money-wise, and here's why. You look at the defense, because that Bengals fan is what got me thinking about this. We're so back. But what about the defense? The Vikings don't have to say that. They have their offensive weapons. They have their offensive line now. They went out and got weapons on the offensive line. They already had Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill, two of the best duo tackles in the NFL. You add Fries and you add Kelly in the interior. You now have 4 solid offensive linemen. You just got to go find one more. They did cut Garrett Bradbury. I thought Garrett Bradbury might be an option to try him out at guard, but they cut him. And so Brando, I'm guessing, is the guy right now who's going to be in there because Ed Ingram got traded as well. Reisner is still out there, if I'm not mistaken, right on the street. Is he not?
Reisner is out, as he tends to be most summers. He usually doesn't sign right away.
Yeah. So it could be a Reisner reunion. And again, I would love a veteran Reisner at left guard with that 4. That's a really good offensive line, Sam. I mean, to be honest, that's a really good offensive line. A veteran Reisner at left guard. It's really good with that 4. You got your running back now. You just traded for Mason. We'll talk about that in the next segment, though. You already had Aaron Jones coming back. You got your 2 tight ends. You might have to find a third one, but your defense is loaded with talent. Besides, you're missing maybe one corner, and you probably need, because you have Harrison Smith, you have Josh Metellus. You need another Cam Bynum type. Could it be Theo Jackson? Like, is Brian Flores going to be the new KOC? Brian Flores could be the defensive KOC. KOC has found ways to make quarterbacks great. Is Brian Flores the guy that's just going to make defensive players great, mainly DBs or safeties, where it's like, hey, you're my safety, I'm going to make you great. But when you're looking at that, I got to go Vikings because of the money. The Vikings did not have to spend $600 million in offensive contracts to make this thing work, to feel like they have a chance to go to a Super Bowl, whereas the Bengals did. I don't know your thoughts on that real quick, Sam, before we jump over to this Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. Who's in a better situation right now?
Yeah.
Certainly the Vikings. They've been building toward this offseason. When Kwesi and KOC took over, they didn't inherit a great roster situation, and they stayed competitive. Highly, highly competitive for 3 years, and now they finally have come into a spot where their roster is going to be among the best in the NFL. Cincinnati, they were all out just to go 9-8 last year, leaning on their offense the whole way, not much of a defense. They're kind of in that state of rebuild or competitive rebuild, I guess you might say, because they do have Burrow, they do have Chase, but they're probably not considered Super Bowl contenders at the moment.
And we're talking about guarantees between Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. It's $2 million, 110 versus 112. Does Justin Jefferson care? Heck no. Does Jamar Chase care? Probably not. But they both got paid. They both are rich. They both can go to Vegas and live it up. They can go to Dubai. They can go to wherever they want and live it up right now. Also, I could see Justin Jefferson at some point, maybe one day, say, "Hey, Vikings, just give me 3 more guaranteed." I really want to piss him off. Like, I could see him doing that and saying, I promise you I'll restructure in that 4th year if you just give me 3 more million. So my guarantees are 113. That would be the funniest, pettiest thing ever. Like, just do it just to be petty. But Sam, throw me out the numbers. So here's the thing, that there was a tweet that said, who would you rather have, Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson? Here's their numbers in their first 4 years. Now, so some people don't really understand the tweet because some people are like arguing, well, he's been in the league 1 year more. That's not what this tweet is about. It's the first 4 years of both of their situations. Understanding Justin Jefferson had to deal with Adam Thielen when he came into the league. Jamar Chase did not. Him and T. Higgins kind of was just them with Tyler Boyd. So he didn't have a veteran guy that was going to, Adam Thielen at one point was a red zone demon when it came to like red zone targets, red zone touchdowns. He was a demon in the red zone. That's why he's continuing to get paid, because he still has a lot left in the tank. But Sam, give me the numbers. What are Jamar Chase's numbers first? What are his catches, yards, touchdowns, yards per game?
You bet. And again, Jefferson in his first 4 years, he missed about 10 games between, not starting his rookie year. Then he had the injury. Chase has missed about 6. So this is in fewer games for Justin Jefferson. He has 392 catches, 5,899 yards, 5,899, 98.3 yards per game, and 30 touchdowns. Now, Jamar Chase, on the other side, he has 3 more catches in his first 4 years than Justin Jefferson, 395 to 392. He has about 450 fewer yards at 5,425, about 11 yards per game less at 87.5 yards per game. But, big one, Ron, he's got 46 career touchdowns to Justin Jefferson's 30. And again, this is just in the first 4 seasons. Now, Ron, I did some additional digging. Let me give you these numbers to explain some of that touchdown discrepancy.
Okay.
So Justin Jefferson in the red zone, I think he's covered so tightly in the red zone because he only has 37 red zone receptions on 75 targets. So they're trying to get it to him, but they do not connect at a high rate. He has 18 red zone touchdowns on 37 catches. Jamar Chase, on the other hand, 59 red zone catches in those first 4 seasons for 22 touchdowns. So a little better in the red zone, a little more effective. He gets open more perhaps, or maybe they don't defend him as tightly. Then, second one, Ron, and this is the biggest one, I think. Who scores from distance? Well, that's going to be Jamar Chase by a landslide. In his first 4 seasons, he's got 23 touchdowns of 30 yards or more. Justin Jefferson has 9. So that might explain the touchdown issue. Ron, now that you know the numbers, how does that make you feel?
It's tough. It is tough. The fact that 4 games is the difference. Justin Jefferson missed 10. Jamar Chase missed 6. Could Justin Jefferson have done more damage in 10 games? Heck yeah. Could he have scored 16 touchdowns in 10 games? Heck yes. Heck yes. Now, Jamar Chase, though, in 6 more games, could he have done more? Absolutely. Now, Jamar Chase has never had to play with. Now, was this in the 4 years? Yeah, that would have been in the 4 years. Josh Dobbs, right? That was Justin Jefferson's 4th year, right? Josh Dobbs.
And some
Nick
of that
Mullins.
aligned with when, Mullins at the end of the year. Jefferson was hurt for a lot of that. I think he missed almost all of Dobbs' sanity because of his injury.
Okay.
But he had Mullins at the end.
He had Mullins at the end. And so when you think about getting, Kirk Cousins getting hurt that year, if Kirk Cousins doesn't get hurt that year, Kirk Cousins was on a prolific trajectory, which I think that would have helped Justin Jefferson out. But here's where I go with this, man. I've seen this a lot. I've seen this tons. I will say, Sam, with your additional stats you threw out there, the scoring from distance, all the other stuff, I do got to tip my cap to Ja'Marr Chase. I can't lie. I have to. Like, I have to tip my cap a little bit to Ja'Marr Chase because of the scoring from distance. I do. The number of touchdowns, 16 to 30. I got to tip my cap to Ja'Marr Chase. The other metrics, catches, yards, all that, but scoring it's about scoring touchdowns. Now, again, going back to the early days, Ja'Marr Chase's rookie year was able to go out and kill it early. Justin Jefferson could not right away. He had to wait his turn. He also had Adam Thielen early on for a while, where Adam Thielen was considered WR1, where he was getting Kirk Cousins targets at first, and Justin Jefferson was playing second fiddle, similar to how Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen were for a while, and then Stephon Diggs stepped up and became receiver one. Same thing happened. Eventually, Justin Jefferson stepped up and became receiver one. Adam Thielen played second fiddle, and that's why he wanted to move on to the Carolina Panthers. But I got to tip my cap to Ja'Marr Chase on this one. Like, I do. I hate to say it. Like, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. The numbers are very loud, Sam. 46 touchdowns to 30 touchdowns in the first 4 years. But here's the crazy thing about it. Justin Jefferson can say, look, you got 16 more touchdowns than me, but you only got 2 more million. Guaranteed. So I still think Justin Jefferson won that battle. Like, Justin Jefferson did not do – like, if Justin Jefferson had 46 touchdowns, I'd be scared to know the number he would have gotten. Like, 46 touchdowns in his first 4 years. Like, you give Justin Jefferson that number, he probably gets a guarantee 120. Like, I could easily see him getting that because it feels different when Justin Jefferson does it. The nation took the gritty from Justin Jefferson right away and ran with it. Whereas Ja'Marr Chase, like he said, I came into the league a year later. So when I came in the league, everybody knew what the gritty was. I still was going to do it because I was our dance at LSU. But, Justin Jefferson was known for it now. Like, he was the first to the league to do it. So he was known for it. So he just has a bigger platform. But again, who would I take over the other? I honestly wouldn't take either. Like, it's neat. I can't pick one out of the other. Like, they're both different. They both give you the same thing. They both have different aspects of the game that are like, man, that is the best thing I've ever seen. Route running. Mm-hmm. I think Justin Jefferson maybe has a little bit more route running to it, where Ja'Marr Chase has a little bit more wiggle. Like, he gets those behind the line of scrimmage screens and he breaks them for distance. He's a huge attractor of other guys. Like, when he runs a wide receiver screen, everybody, like, they run a lot of double plays with him where they fake the throw to him and throw it to somebody, throw it to T. Higgins. But I got to say, straight up numbers, I got to take Chase with that 46 touchdowns. But who is better? They're the same. Like, that's the one thing I hope people realize in this argument, Justin Jefferson versus Ja'Marr Chase, because it's a huge argument out there. Huge argument out there. Even with the gritty, they both have a different swag to their gritty. Like, Justin Jefferson's is more like casual. Ja'Marr Chase's is just cool. Like, his is like smooth and cool. And so, again, I don't think we're ever going to have an answer to who is better. Like it's not like, because some people are like, oh, it's like Superman versus Batman. No, it's not. Superman by far is better than Batman. If you ever try to say Batman is equivalent to Superman, stop it. Stop. I mean, I get the kryptonite thing, and Batman found kryptonite. He can weaken Super. Straight up, without all that extras, Superman will destroy Batman. Stop it. Stop the madness. This is not one of those. I don't know the equivalent of these two. I really don't. Like, green versus red grapes. I don't know. Like, they're both the same. Like, I know some people are gonna say, oh no, green grapes are way better than red grapes or whatever. But green versus red grapes. That's what I feel like this argument is. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. But 46 touchdowns, Sam. I'm glad you did that extra little research on the other stuff and the scoring from, the scoring in the red zone. We saw some red zone issues though. Like, there were some times Justin Jefferson was open and Sam Darnold just couldn't hit him. I'd be remiss to go back and watch maybe some of the other ones. Like, did Kirk Cousins ever miss, or did Nick Mullins miss him? I don't know if Kirk missed him as much as Nick Mullins might have. But yeah, I just don't know that answer. 46 to 30 in touchdowns. 10 less games compared to 6 less games. I struggle to say it's the missed games, because 16 touchdowns in 10 games, true. But then what would Ja'Marr Chase have done with 6 more games? So we're talking about a 4-game difference. I don't think makes up a 16 touchdown gap. Like, in 4 games, you would need 4 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, you're right, Ron. The Jefferson yardage is interesting because he is a little more consistent at
The yards
making
per game.
catches. Yeah, he's steadier. I think he's steadier, whereas Jamar Chase is a little more boom, and I wouldn't even say boom or bust, just boom or kind of normal. Justin Jefferson is really consistent. Doesn't score as much from deep. You're right, but I wonder if Justin Jefferson had Joe Burrow, how it would be different. Because I think would you agree, Ron? 4 years with Joe Burrow is slightly better than 3 years of Kirk Cousins with some of Mullins mixed in. That's
Sam
probably a
Darnold.
better
Yeah.
situation. Yeah.
No, Sam Darnold was in his 5th year though.
Right, which isn't counting in this exercise.
Correct. So we're just talking about 3 years of Kirk and then some Nick Mullins, or 3.5 years of Kirk with some Nick Mullins mixed in there. The other thing though, Burrow was hurt too though, right? Because Jake Browning played for the Bengals in Chase's last year.
You're right. Yeah, end of 2023. You're right.
Yeah.
So
Burrow's hands. So it is kind of like, again, because I'm not gonna fluff the numbers because I don't want people watching the show being like, oh, he's making it easier. They're making it easier for Justin. I think it's literally even. They both have been without a quarterback. They both have had to miss games. Justin Jefferson just missed more. Would we say Jake Browning is better than Nick Mullins? That's where you can get into the weeds. Like, is Jake Browning better than Nick Mullins? I don't know. I don't know. That's what we'd have to find out. Both were Vikings though at one point. Like Jake Browning was with Minnesota at one point. Nick Mullins just stuck around. So maybe Nick Mullins was better than Jake Brown. I don't know. I really don't know. But the 46-30 is the number that you can jump on. You could, because people say, what about the yards per game? Justin Jefferson almost 100 yards per game. Jamar Chase is 80. Right. He did less yards less yards, but more touchdowns. He had more touchdowns from deep. So that's where I was just wondering if, what would that have done? I'd love to, and maybe we'll do this tomorrow too. Maybe we could talk about this tomorrow on the football party a little bit and bring this conversation up some more. Have everybody weigh in on it. And that gives me a chance maybe to do even more, get down into the weeds, actually take each game and then divide it up. What is his average catches per game? What is his average yards per game? What is his average touchdowns per game? And see what the granular number is. Is it 0.86 touchdowns per game for Jamar Chase to 0.8 for Justin? I guarantee if we do that, now I'm going to do it, people, because I love this stuff. I guarantee it's not that far off. It feels far off when you look at 16 versus 10, or 16 versus 30. So if this 16 touchdowns, the 46 versus 30. But I bet if I were to get granular with this and go each game and then break it down per, I don't know. And again, Jamar Chase. So this was Jamar Chase's 4th year, correct?
Yeah, year 4 for Jamar Chase. Yep.
So I wonder if you were to say Justin Jefferson's best 4 years, with this past year, so if you skip his rookie year and then the last 4 for Justin Jefferson, where does that put him?
Right. Take out his injury year and add his, because he had 1,500 yards last year that we're not counting.
Right.
So that would also change this exercise a lot if you took out sort of the outlier. Though Justin Jefferson was very good in those 10 games. He was healthy.
Correct.
23.
Yeah, he still got 1,000 yards. He had 1,000
yards per game. That's actually a career high for him.
Yeah, he had 1,000 yards. That's what's crazy about that. So, or maybe you take all 5 of his years and you just do the average. Here's Justin Jefferson's career average. Here's Jamar Chase's career average. We can do that as well. So I'm gonna do all that. I'm like Reggie and Julia won't know I'm gonna do that because I'm gonna have some numbers for tomorrow. But yeah, we got. I'd say we bring this up again just to say as a group, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, let them go, and then I'll come over the top rope. But we got to get over to and so to put a bow on this segment, people. Sam, Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, where do you stand?
Oh man. Well, you did a good job of towing the line and saying that they're both awesome, and that these are the statistics I looked up early in the segment. First time I'm seeing those. I mean, I'd never looked those up before until now, and I think it is hard to ignore that Jamar Chase is more effective in scoring areas. But Ron, what is Justin Jefferson's presence doing for the rest of his team? Is Jamar Chase having the same effect with the Bengals? I don't know that. That's another thing to get in the weeds with, because I think Justin Jefferson's double coverage drawn opens things up so much for everybody else. And the penalties, Ron, that Justin Jefferson draws, those don't count toward his stats. He probably had 200 yards in penalties drawn last year too. Where's Jamar Chase land in that regard? So I would need to even go a step further to even to develop an opinion and who's leading their team to more, meaningful victories. Jamar Chase, he's gotten to a Super Bowl. He's gotten to an AFC Championship game. There's another factor. So I have to plead the fifth. I can't give you a concrete answer. I like you. I need to do more research.
So if I go into categories, if I were to look at touchdowns, give me Jamar Chase. I want a receiver scoring, give me Jamar Chase. I want a receiver that's going to stretch the field, give me a bunch of yards, give me a bunch of catches, give me Justin Jefferson. And I think that's the only way to look at it. Which would you rather have? Because both are effective. Justin Jefferson moves the chains. He creates additional opportunities for his offense to score touchdowns. You look at, again, playing in the system. Who's better in which system? Could they both transfer over to the other system? I don't know, but I would say yes. That's why it's so hard, because like they're almost the same. Like, it's not like one's a big, strong guy like T.O. and the other one's like a jitterbug like Antonio Brown. Like Antonio Brown versus T.O. or Megatron versus Antonio Brown. Because I know that came up, and people are like, oh, if Megatron's a Hall of Famer, look at Antonio Brown's stats. He's a Hall of Famer. Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, but I don't think these voters are going to vote him in because he has lost his mind with some stuff. And so they're not going to want to do that. But when you look at that, those are two totally different receivers. Megatron was Megatron. Think about the Transformers, dominant. It takes multiple people to stop. I mean, I've never seen a guy in the red zone just flat out. We're not going to just double team you with the safety. We're just going to put two cornerbacks over there and let your quarterback know it's 2-on-1. You can make this throw. And sometimes Matthew Stafford still threw the fade route and he had it. That's what's so nuts about that. Like, they had to double and triple team this guy and still couldn't do it. Antonio Brown was a great route runner. He would get lost in the weeds. He would be in the, so again, different. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, they're pretty much the same. But if I'm going touchdowns, give me Chase. If I'm going yards and catches, give me Justin Jefferson. But we'll be back after a word from our sponsors, because we got to talk about Aaron Rodgers now. Aaron Rodgers is putting some cryptic text messages and pictures out there. Tweets and pictures out there on Instagram now. Like, he's deep in thought and, he's weighing his options and, it's not the end of the road for him. And then the Minnesota Vikings, surprising trade, and didn't have to give up much for it. We'll talk about that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
It's March and it's madness. The play-in games are here. First round on Thursday. Can't wait to watch. Can't wait to wager at FanDuel.com. New customers right now can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. 200 extra bucks to use on the NCAA tournament. First round matchups are the best. Thursday and Friday, I will watch from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and I will not get bored because of all the upsets, the Cinderella stories, the buzzer beaters. I'm betting on the underdogs, baby. 15 seeds, 14 seeds, 13 seeds. My bracket's going to be filled with upsets, and you too can actually join our bracket contest here at Locked On. More on that later. But check out FanDuel.com. Get in the college hoops action all tournament long. Bet 5, get 200 at FanDuel.
Well, the Minnesota Vikings, no surprise. I mean, we kind of talked about this, Sam, that Garrett Bradbury was all but done. I assumed possibly trade him. I'm pretty sure like they traded Ingram, so I'm pretty sure they tried to find a trade partner. We don't know if like in his contract he had like a clause where he didn't want to be traded somewhere, or was it no value of it? Like, did nobody out there want him enough to give up something? And they knew the Vikings had no other option because the Vikings had already played their hand. Like, it's one thing if they had started trying to trade him before they picked up Kelly and Fries, but getting Kelly, all signs pointed towards you're stuck with Garrett Bradbury. So now why would I take him off your hands and you're stuck? And Ingram's a little different because it's like, well, somebody wants him. We could hold on to him and not hurt us at all because he's still under his rookie deal. And so when you think about, and then like you said, it freed up like $3.6 million to cut Garrett Bradbury. And whoever, trading him, do I want to take on that salary? And that's the other question. But now I just saw a report saying the Patriots might pick him up because they want him to be their starter. Like, they're looking to pick him up as a starter. And so when you look at the trade value of Garrett Bradbury, it's like the movie Draft Day. These GMs, like I was saying, these GMs, they just play each other against each other. And so do you want them? Do you not want them? Oh, you want them. And we saw the Giants play out in front of our own eyes with Saquon Barkley. They literally were out there. Oh, please don't go here. If they want you, tell us, and we'll probably take. Oh, okay, sure. I'll let you know. You're right. And so that's why you always, if you want something, like Luke says, Luke Inman, Spinman, for those that are follow us a lot, go get your guys. Like, if you want to Saquon Barkley, go get him. Why let him get out there and see the world? Like, why? Like, why would you do that? Like, clearly, dumb move. And so the Minnesota Vikings kind of know where they're at with that move. Garrett Bradbury gone. I'm going to pass over this Aaron Rodgers thing. I'll come back to that. But they make a trade, surprising trade, because we talked about this. With Aaron Jones, we were all saying, because I said Caleb Johnson and some running backs that could still be in the draft for the Vikings to get and be the future. Well, Jordan Mason might be the future. Jordan Mason came out of nowhere because if you guys remember, 49ers running back was hurt. They acted like he wasn't hurt. Didn't say anything to the world. Christian McCaffrey is his name. Didn't say anything to the world. The FanDuelers, all the bettors were hoping for an answer. And Jordan Mason, after the game, I don't know if it wasn't the Vikings game. I forgot what game it was, but after the game.
Yeah. Week one, maybe? Was it week one?
Maybe it was week one.
Game? Yeah.
They asked him about it, and he said, yeah, coach, he kind of told me on Tuesday it's my show. And they're like, wait, what? He told you on Tuesday? And then he came back and said, no, like, we had a conversation that I might play, but they weren't sure yet. Because all the coaches probably like, dude, you like, no, we did not want everybody to know he was hurt. Like, you can't do that. And so Jordan Mason got introduced to the world because of that. He went viral, and then he didn't want to interview anymore. He was like, see, this is why I don't do interviews, because y'all twist my words and y'all play me against my coaches and y'all made me out to be the bad guy, and I didn't even do anything. And so that's the Jordan Mason. If you don't remember him, that's Jordan Mason. The Minnesota Vikings now have him. He is a weapon. He has the ability to give you 140 yards and 40 yards in the air. He came from a system where the 49ers use the running back all over the place. He's a great third down back, so Aaron Jones can go 1-2, come out, maybe go 1, and then he comes in for 2-3 if it's passing downs. This is a great pickup for the Minnesota Vikings. He also is young. So if Aaron Jones is on a 1 or 2 year deal, maybe Jordan Mason is the next guy to step in and become a face of a franchise where people are like, oh, this Jordan Mason guy is better than we thought. But again, a great backup, because we were all saying that. And I think your comment was, dang, are we over Ty Chandler now? And it was kind of like he hadn't done much since that Bengals game. Like that Bengals game, he showed a ton of pace, a ton of speed, and he looked a lot better than what's his name from Boise State, the Vikings.
Madison.
Had.
Yeah.
He looked way better than Alexander Madison. And so we were all saying, finally, there's some explosion in this offense. Finally, Ty Chandler has to play. And I think it happened at the home game first, because I remember being in the media press box. Ty Chandler gets in, has a nice little run. All the media guys were saying, our section, Sam, our little area over there. Mm-hmm. Everybody kind of looks up, looks down. You got the group over there, and we're all looking at each other, and everybody's like, oh, this kid is good. Like, he needs to play more. And then Ty Chandler didn't really, like, you didn't see that anymore. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe we were just so used to the pace of Madison, the pace of Chandler surprised us. And then after that, we were kind of like, oh, well, okay, we're used to it now. But it didn't pan out. So Jordan Mason now comes in as RB2. And I think that's huge. Like, I think that's a huge bump for this offense when you're talking about a great third down back and a guy that if Aaron Jones could rest a little bit more. Like, the goal is, like with Dalvin Cook, the goal is to get to the playoffs healthy. And I think that's going to be the other key, because we noticed the way Aaron Jones looked at the end of the season versus the beginning of the season, a healthy Aaron Jones. I don't know if the Vikings win like that Lions game or something, but I do feel like they get more production in the red zone in that Lions game with a healthy running back. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Aaron Jones in the latter half of the season, he was either out or playing hurt in second halves of games, because he was gutting it out. He was armored up. He was trying to protect himself and trying to gut it out, but he had a hard time. So this gives you a little bit of insurance. You have now a bigger body that can withstand some punishment. And I think there's a chance, Ron, that Jordan Mason has more upside potential than Aaron Jones. I mean, I think he's really good. Aaron Jones has the better resume, and he's probably a little better in the passing game. But Jordan Mason, when he got volume last year, Ron, he produced. It wasn't like he was just a flash in the pan who did well with 6 or 7 carries a couple times. He was getting 20, 25 carries early in the season and doing a lot with it, like 5 yards a carry, 6 yards a carry. So I think Jordan Mason is unbelievably good. I think there's going to be games where he gets the most carries and probably thrives. Behind this offensive line, too. I mean, it's all coming together right now, Ron. They've got the running back situation figured out, O-line, defensive tackle, cornerbacks looking better. It's all looking up. This is, and it's all 2-year deals, Ron, right? Like last year was a lot of 1-year deals.
Yep.
This year, everyone who's signing 2-year deal, 3-year deal. So they've got this core now for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's a thing where when you have a rookie quarterback, you can kind of make these decisions, and all signs, the way they're signing guys, like I don't know how much money they would have left for an Aaron Rodgers. That's the other thing. Like it's like you still got to sign your draft picks, which is not going to be a lot of them. It's going to be 2 to 3. Maybe they finagle something and get a 4th or 5th pick by making some trades on draft day, because we know that happens. But like they're spending a lot of money on free agency. But here's the thing, Sam, and I want to make sure I do this. Everybody questioned Kwesi's moves early on. Here's what the roster looks like. Here's the players that he's drafted and what they've done. You got to give it to him on the free agency this year. Like Kwesi is a master right now in financial literacy, but also, because you said the 2-year deals, but also equity. He is finding guys with equity. He is finding guys that he's not paying a ton for them, but he's going to get a lot out of them if it works out. Now, again, this is what gambling is about. You're going to put a lot of money in the basket for Fries, Kelly. You went out and got Jordan Mason now. It has to work. You got Isaiah Rodgers. Who else did they pick up?
Jonathan Allen,
Javon Hargrave. Like you're picking up a lot of guys, but it still has to work. But this is what I'll say. The feeling alone of going into this offseason, OTAs and all, like the buzz is back. Like I could not imagine, and not to hate on the organization, but I could not imagine right now being a New York Giant heading into OTAs. Like if I'm a New York Giant media member, it's the Giants, so it's New York. You have a big media. But like I feel like the Jets with Justin Fields right now and Aaron Glenn are gonna dominate the New York media over the Giants. That's just maybe I'm wrong in that thinking, but I feel like people are gonna care more about what the Giants are doing, because Garrett Wilson just came out and said, man, I got my college quarterback back. Don't think that doesn't matter. Like you got a guy from college that you know and trust, and the quarterback knows that the receiver trusts him and is his friend. Garrett Wilson might have a big year. Justin Fields might have a resurgence year. Aaron Glenn is going to have that defense clicking. He just signed Chris Boyd, so their special teams is going to be nuts. Like they are doing some things in New York, and he's going to continue to get better with draft picks. Like there's some other things they got cooking. But when I look at the Giants, like when you're the Jets media, because in your New York period though, New York covers New York. When you're the Jets coverage, you're like, oh man, Aaron Glenn. Oh, they just bought Antoine Randall in. Oh man, they just brought in so and so. You know, Pittsburgh even they brought in Darius Slay. You know, they're bringing in they got DK Metcalf and all this. You're the Giants is like, all right, what is going on here? What is going on here? The Minnesota Vikings. This is exciting. Like to have a GM like Kwesi, I think a lot of people misunderstood the direction. But the day I met him, Sam, you remember this tweet? I said, I really like the plan that he has. This was the plan. This was the plan that he had, which he didn't know how it was going to work out quarterback-wise, but his plan was always, I got to get the guys that fit what my offense, because he said I'm a GM, which means I'm a general manager of people. And he said, my job is not to coach. My job is to manage the people. And he said, in order to manage the people, I have to know what the people want. So what did he do? He went and asked Brian Flores. He went and talked to his scouts. He went and asked Kevin O'Connell. He went and talked to their scouts. They now said, okay, here's the guys that fit our system. Here's the guys that fit our culture. Don't forget, Jonathan Allen is a community person. Who's that remind you of? CJ Ham, Kirk Cousins, culture. You get a guy on that defensive line, Harrison Phillips, culture. Harrison Smith, culture. It's Byron Murphy, I've not heard one peep about Byron Murphy off the field. I don't even know if Byron Murphy has a life outside the facility. Like, I feel like he would be a great severance story for professional sports. Walks into the building, zzz, he's football. Walks out the building, no idea Byron Murphy has no idea he's a professional football player. Like, I've heard nothing. Like, I don't see nothing about that kid. Nothing, which is great. No news is great news. And so when you think about culture and just playing together as a team, that's what Kwesi is doing. He's managing people, and he's doing a great job of it. But when you look at the Minnesota Vikings, again, this Aaron Rodgers thing, quick before we get to it, Sam, I just don't know if it fits the culture. And that's where I think Aaron Rodgers, like the player Aaron Rodgers, like years ago in the I own Chicago and discount double check, yeah, I'm all in for it. But him as a person, him as a media person that's possibly going to drain the battery of the team, that's where I think it's going to, like, the rubber's going to meet the road. When they look at the culture that Aaron Rodgers might bring to the organization. Now, again, that's why Aaron Glenn moved on. Now, people can say whatever they want about what the conversation actually looked like. But Aaron Glenn probably said, look, man, you can't do this, and this. Can you abide by that? No, coach. All right. Well, hey, it was good to know you for a couple of days. We're going to move in a different direction. We're going to go get Justin Fields. This offense, Justin Fields can run. Justin Fields can throw. Justin Fields actually was pretty good with the Bears. He beat the Vikings a few times. Justin Fields, I think, just needs a mind, somebody who can mentally get him on the right page. Maybe it is with the Jets, but he does have Garrett Wilson. He does have Breece Hall. Like, they got weapons there. And so that's why I'd be interested to see what happens overall with this offseason. But Kwesi has the media excited about covering this team now. Like, and they always have been. Every year it seems like we've been excited. But this JJ McCarthy thing, the free agents they've added, like, there's a lot. And again, Fries and somebody, we might not see these guys early on. We're not going to see some of these guys to training camp, maybe week, 2 or 3 of the preseason. But the excitement is there to know what this offensive line, like, that's the biggest thing, what this offensive line can look like. Because and then who's going to be that fifth guy? Is it going to be Brando? Is it going to be, but Kwesi deserves all the credit for this. The organization, the Wilfs, gave him the power to do this. And that's why, again, I think it leads towards JJ McCarthy and then bringing in a veteran quarterback just to, hey, you're going to be the backup. If something happens, I know you can be a star like Marcus Mariota, like Jameis Winston. You can say whatever you want about Jameis Winston. He can win games if he's coached correctly. And Kevin O'Connell, you talking about coaching Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, making him look good. I think he can make Jameis Winston a Pro Bowler. Like, seriously. Like, Kevin O'Connell can make Jameis Winston a pro. Jameis Winston was really good in college. He was really good in the NFL at the time. He threw a ton of touchdowns. He threw a lot of interceptions. Why? Because somebody probably never told him what to do. Sam Darnold saw ghosts before he got to Minnesota. And Kevin O'Connell killed the ghost. It was like the Sixth Sense. Hey, you're dead. Did you not know that? Like, I feel like Kevin O'Connell was the guy that told Bruce Willis, you're dead. Sorry for the people that haven't seen Sixth Sense. I just ruined it for you. I'm sorry.
What a spoiler.
But Kevin O'Connell is the Ghostbuster. He is Dan Aykroyd. He helped Sam Darnold get rid of the ghost. I think he can help Jameis Winston get rid of the interceptions. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. This has been the Ron Johnson Show. Quick pause, and then we got a Daily 3 coming up quick before we get out of here. Well, now it's time for the Daily 3. It's 3 questions. It's been about a minute each today. Take it away, Sam.
All right. What do we have to start the day? March Madness Bracket Challenge. We're inviting people to compete with us. Locked On Sports Minnesota crew. We're going to fill out brackets, and you can see if you can beat us. Who you got winning it all in March Madness, Ron?
So, Sam, this is the 1 year, not going to lie, I have no clue. Like, I watch basketball. You know that. I'm a big basketball guy. I feel like, honestly, though, I've watched more women's this year, and mainly because my daughter plays basketball now. I've watched more women's basketball than I have men's basketball. When you think about the overall brackets, you think about the Big Ten, you think about who tends to make it to the end. And here's where I got to go with the pick'em. So when you think about the games early on, I think I'm just going with the ones. Like, I'm going to go with the 1s and the 2s, 3s, and 4s. I don't think there's going to be, maybe I haven't looked deeply into it. That's what I usually do tomorrow is I get a little deeper into it and I start looking at, potential upsets. Because I know, Sam, I think last year you did a great job of picking the upsets. But when you look at like Duke, am I putting too much into Cooper Flag? And that's what I worry about. Every year, I feel like Filipowski for Duke. I put a lot into him. We just saw him play against the Timberwolves the other day, I think. When you look at, because he's with the Jazz, right? Filipowski?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I'm pretty sure that was him. But when you look at who potentially, like what number one is going to come out of this, you got Auburn, you got who's the other one? Florida, and then you got Duke, and then you got, because I didn't see the last one. Is this
Houston is the other one?
It is Houston. And Houston, did they win last year?
Houston did. I don't think they won at all.
They lost to who? They were in it though, because their guy got hurt. Their number one guard got hurt.
Yeah, Shed.
I'm drawing a blank.
I can't
Shed,
remember.
yeah.
They got far. Houston's always been in the mix. I thought they lost in like the Elite Eight. I can't quite remember though.
But when I'm looking at this, you know what I mean? Like you got potential teams that could upset some people and go further than they're supposed to, like Arizona. Arizona, but Arizona has to play Duke. You got Gonzaga as an 8 seed. Again, they always tend to do well in this. This year, Sam, I hate to do it, but Christian Laettner is done. He's done. Nobody cares about him. I gotta go with Duke. Like, I feel like Cooper Flag, like this is the moment that has been building up since he was like a sophomore in high school. When we saw that 6'6" gangly kid in high school, and everybody's like, who is this kid? And then you see the next year, he's 6'7". Then you see the next year, he's 6'10". You're like, whoa, this kid can dribble, he can shoot. I gotta go with Duke. Like, I feel like the way they're playing right now and the way Shire has them playing, they're built for the tournament. Like, they're built to go because they have so many different scores. Cooper Flag, if you watch Duke basketball, Sam, I don't know if you watched it. I watch a lot of Duke basketball just because it pops up. When it's on, I watch it. They move the ball. They move it's not Cooper Flag's show. Now, when he's by himself, you'll see Shire do the spread it out, mismatch. But I got to go with Duke, Sam. What you got next?
Yeah, Wolves went for 9 in a row last night against a Pacers team that literally didn't have its starters. Everybody was being held out for injuries, for rest. One of their top guys got ejected during the game. They still lost in overtime, 132-130. Lethargic first half, battled back, had an 8-point lead, let it slip. Obi Toppin went berserk and hit a fadeaway 3 with 3 seconds left to win it for Indiana. Your thoughts on the game?
So I was keeping track of it. Wasn't watching it intently, but was keeping track of it. At first, they were getting blown out at the half. Like, it was started out great. It was pretty even. They kind of ran away with the second half. And then I thought, so this is my problem too. I hate when I see the score at halftime and then I kind of I'm not watching this anymore. And so I just felt like it was heading that direction. Just like, who did they blow out the other day? Was that the Jazz they blew out?
Utah?
Probably. Yeah. Because that's the one that, I was watching that one and it just got messy. Like, I know Marnie Gellner did the game, but it got messy. It got sloppy. Just looked like the Jazz didn't care anymore. And I was hoping the Timberwolves didn't fall into that trap of we're losing by 14. It's over. And then they came back and had a huge third quarter, 41-29. And then they took it to overtime, which I was like, okay, here we go. And they lost. So I think overall it was a good game. The fact that they didn't have their starters, though, that's the one. It's like, well, what does that mean for this team? Honestly, I don't think it means anything. I just think when you win 8 in a row, you're tired. Like, I think people are forgetting that. They're doing to win 8 in a row and still be the 7th seed. That's a lot of work for nothing, it feels like, I bet. You feel like if you go 8 straight, you should be jumping to the 5. The West is just really good. Like, when you have a Lakers team that's 4th and they're 42-25, that's what's crazy about it. And the Thunder, 56-12, don't get talked about enough. But I think the Timberwolves are good. It just sucks that they literally, if they had gone 50 4-4 instead of 8-0, they wouldn't be in the playoffs right now. Like, they would be no. They would be 9. They'd be in the play-in. So that's what's crazy about it. If they went 4-4, they'd be 9. That's how good this is. They'd be 36-34, and they would be 9. And that's going 50%. You're like, man, that's 50%. 4-4. That's good. No, you got to go 8-0 in the West right now. Like, the West is pushing. So Yeah, I mean, and that's why I said I kept saying, like, you were asking me, do I think they get to the 6th seed if they do this? I was like, I don't know. The West is tough right now. Like, everybody wrote Steph Curry off, and look, he's back. He's back. So we got the last one.
Yeah, Vikings have ushered in Rondale Moore and Jeff Okudah for visits. Both of them injury prone. I think Moore's coming off a season-ending injury. Okudah's been banged up his whole career. Which of the two would you want in Minnesota?
Rondale Moore, kick returner, punt returner. That Brandon Powell. Because again, why run it back with Brandon Powell when you can get a younger, stronger version that can run the jet sweep, can play running back, squats. I mean, in college at one point he squatted like 500 pounds or something like that, or bent or leg press 600 pounds. Super, but you're right, injury. Jeff Okudah was a really good college cornerback. When he went to the Lions, didn't do so well. Went to the Falcons and was so. I wouldn't mind him either, though. Like, I feel like Brian Flores could get the best out of a lot of players when you talk about defensive backs. And so if you don't have to spend a lot of money and you can get a Jeff Okudah, I would do it. I would sign both of them.
How about this? Breaking news. 1 minute ago, Vikings agreed a 1-year deal with Jeff Okudah.
See? I told you, if you can get him for nothing, I would do it. Like, he was really good in college. And people, seriously, we did not plan that. I did not know that happened.
I didn't either.
This just happened a minute ago, even though when you guys see this, it happened a while ago, like an hour ago, maybe. But that was not planned. We do not do shock TV. I just know I've watched Jeff Okudah with the Lions because I'm from Detroit, and I hear my friends talk about him, and they hated him. But they hated him because he was supposed to be their number one guy. Could he be a good second corner? Yes, I think so. And Brian Flores' defense, again, you don't have to play a ton of man in Brian Flores' defense. You have to be able to play man, but then you have to be able to understand how to play safety, how to confuse people. And so, yeah, welcome to the University of Minnesota. Welcome to the Minnesota Vikings, Jeff Okudah. But yeah, I would take him. I still would take Rondale Moore too, though. Like, I hope they get, like, they need, I think, a good slot receiver. But I do know there's some other options out there. But again, if you can get a 1 or 2 year deal for Rondale Moore, you put Rondale Moore with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Rondale Moore is fast. That's a guy that could take the top off out of the slot. And he's dependable. But you're right, it's injuries. Can he stay healthy? But I would hope so. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. And thank you guys for joining us on the Ron Johnson Show today. Make sure you guys check us out the rest of the week. It's going to be a loaded week with all these signings. The football parties are buzzing. And then, of course, all these contracts across the league. We're going to contrast and compare, and we're going to give you all of the honest takes that we can. But make sure you, again, subscribe on YouTube to Locked On Sports Minnesota. I want to thank you guys. Have a great week.